G'day Australia, I'm Coram E, and this is the Tesla Model 3 Apple CarPlay upgrade. Your Tesla Model 3 has pretty much everything you could possibly want in a car. Amazing multimedia interface, map interface, all your controls for all of the vehicles, interior climate and vehicle settings are all on this great interface. However, what it doesn't have is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, these are good and handy platforms with which to manage your multimedia and your navigation, and we're going to be able to add this with a bespoke, custom fit Apple CarPlay Android Auto upgrade for the Tesla Model 3 that's going to mount in front of the steering wheel for a little display right here, which will give gauge information and other vehicle information, as well as an Apple CarPlay Android Auto voice controlled interface right here in front of the steering wheel. So it gives you that sort of gauge feel. It will actually up-spec the dash to look a lot more like the Model X, which has the dual gauge like display in front of the steering wheel and lane departure warning and a lot of other settings like autopilot and things like that are all indicated up on the main display in front of the steering wheel. So we're going to up-spec this Tesla Model 3 to have a bit of a cooler interface, more like the Tesla Model X, and add Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Okay, if you haven't booked with one of the Audiocom stores to have this installed for you and you're doing the DIY install yourself, the first thing you're going to need to do is pop up this panel here, the panel removal tool. You can get these on the website, universalfuse.com. Check out the links below for a link. You know, get in under here. It's not as dramatic as it looks, and you're just going to leverage this panel up and out. It's kind of that easy. You need to do the same on the other side, and then this entire panel, see all the movement in it there, will lift up out of the car. Alright, so this is pretty cozy. I'm under the passenger side of the Tesla Model 3 now to show you where the plug and play interface for this Apple CarPlay Android Auto model goes. Now you got to shove your head right up and under here. It's fiddly. I will warn you, this is a bit bloody difficult. I do this all the time and I found it awful. So what you got here is the T-harness that comes with the Model 3 CarPlay Android Auto upgrade. I've already plugged one end in up here. Try and get an angle where you can see. So after you take off the cover panel under the glove box with a couple of screws and a couple of little plastic rivets, you'll see this hard module here at the back, and this is the entertainment module that does all the thinking. That's the computer that governs all the entertainment and infotainment stuff on the screen. Now there's a little grey plug up on this side. This is close to the tunnel in the middle of the car, not the outside of the car that way. And up on this end is a grey plug. Now it is very difficult to get to. It's up in here. You got to release the clip off it to slide it out and uninstall it. I had to get a couple of tools in there to get it done. You'll then be able to plug in one side of your T-harness and then the other side of the T-harness. So obviously you unplug the original plug, one side of the T-harness goes into the infotainment module, the other side of the T-harness goes back out to the original plug that was in it. And that's going to intercept and feed power and control area network information through to the new interface that works with your steering wheel controls and everything. So you got to get up under here. I've done one side of it, and now I'm going to have to put the phone down to get this other plug back into this module, because like I said, it is bloody fiddly. Alright, now you got your T-harness plugged in. Before you run all your cables, you're going to mount up the unit itself. So I've got just now we've got this panel out from before, of course. You put this into position. You can just use the cutout for the steering wheel to line up where you're going to position that and center that on the cutout for the steering wheel, so you know you've got it in the correct place. And then this is all pre-formed and pre-molded to clip into place. You'll see there's little docks here that have come through, and you've got to feed through these two little plugs through the holes. It's a tight fit, but they do fit through without any modification. So squeeze those through. Then you've got this mounting plate which is going to retain it all. So you slide the mounting plate over the cables and then maneuver that up into position like this. And then with the included screws, there's a handful of these little guys, you're going to screw that in to the base of the monitor, and that's going to clip and lock and clamp that into place really, really solid. And now that you've got the screen mounted to that panel, it's just a matter of running the two cables up to this point. So you just run them around up through the rubber seams along this ledge here. There's a little bit of space under the panel to come along, and we'll connect those in, and then we'll be able to do a power up test and drop this panel back into place. We've just got it sitting on a neoprene dash protector at the moment there, so we can move it around and not mark the dash. Great idea to get yourself one of these. We use these in all the Audiocom workshops whenever we're working on a car and maneuvering panels. We've always got these neoprene dash protectors over the center console or over the steering column or on the dash or wherever we're working to make sure we don't scratch or mark anything. You can get these from the website, universalfuse.com. They're a 5mm thick neoprene dash protector, and we use them all the time in installs. It's the best way to take care of your car while you're working on it, so you don't accidentally mark anything, dropping a tool or leaning a panel or resting anything like that. But that's enough about that. Let's get this plugged in and do a power up test and see this thing in action. Right, so here we are with the successful power up test. Still got a couple of panels to put on there after, but I always like to do a power up check before I go ahead and reassemble everything, just in case something's not correct. But we've got full power up on this display now. So as well as your main display for all your regular controls and power information and maps and navigation, you've got this extra double gauge display now in front of the steering wheel, which is giving you a little bit of info. I've got the car on presently, but not running, as you can imagine, because my feet are out the door. And but a little bit of the information you're getting is a speedo. That's the best way to say that. On this side, we've got a speedo, bit of glare there, and our power meter on this side. You've got the lane departure activity, which will pop up when you're in motion on either side there, and it'll bring up your indication of things like the traffic lights and stop signs and hazard cones, those sorts of things that would normally pop up on your infotainment display, also come on this display. And then to drop into our other modes, you simply slide across and you've got the little function display on here, and we can then select our navigation mode. When we pair up Apple CarPlay shortly, that'll bring up the full CarPlay interface on there, and we can go into our settings mode and adjust a few preferences or back to the car's standard display there. So it's added a really nice display to the dash to give you that familiar gauge feel right in front of the steering wheel, in case you're missing that. And we've added Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for full voice control, navigation and multimedia functions. Alright, so you can see that now this is connected. You can change modes with the steering wheel control because they're fully linked through the vehicle CAN interface, and of course you can change your tracks with the steering wheel controls there in CarPlay mode. Pretty amazing. And then when we get driving, we'll still have all our guidance and autopilot information over here on the right. There it is. The Tesla 3 Apple CarPlay interface from Universal Fuse and Audiocom.